Whales are not just one kind of giant ocean animal. They're an entire group of marine mammals with very different bodies, lifestyles, and survival strategies, and the biggest split between them is surprisingly simple. Some whales have baleen and some have teeth. If you understand that one division first, every other type of whale starts to make sense. Baleen whales, also called mysticetes, don't bite prey the way a shark or dolphin does. Instead of teeth, they have rows of baleen plates hanging from the upper jaw. Baleen looks a bit like a giant comb made of keratin, the same material in your fingernails. These whales take in huge mouthfuls of water and then push the water back out, trapping food inside. Most baleen whales feed on krill, plankton, or small fish, and many of them are enormous because this filtering system lets them process incredible amounts of food. The most famous example is the blue whale, the largest animal known to have ever lived. Not largest whale, largest animal, period. Blue whales can grow over 90 feet long and weigh more than 150 tons. Even with that size, they mainly eat tiny krill. During feeding season, one blue whale can consume several tons of krill in a single day. They're long, streamlined, and surprisingly graceful for something so huge. Blue whales are usually more solitary than some other whale species, and one of their defining features is their extremely deep, powerful calls, which can travel vast distances underwater. Closely related are fin whales, the second largest whales on Earth. Fin whales are often called the greyhounds of the sea because they're fast, sleek, and more streamlined than the bulkier blue whale. They also feed using baleen, lunging through dense schools of fish or krill with their mouths open. One interesting detail about fin whales is their asymmetrical coloring around the lower jaw, with one side often lighter than the other. They're less famous than blue or humpback whales, but they're among the ocean's true giants. Then there's the humpback whale, probably the best-known whale for behavior rather than sheer size. Humpbacks are famous for breaching, tail slapping, fin slapping, and for their long, complex songs. They're still massive baleen whales, often around 40 to 50 feet long, but they're much more acrobatic than people expect. Humpbacks feed on krill and small fish, and in some places they use a remarkable method called bubble net feeding, where several whales work together to blow circles of bubbles around prey, trapping it into a tight cluster before lunging upward through it. They're one of the clearest examples that whales are not only big, but highly coordinated and behaviorally sophisticated. Gray whales are another baleen type, but they do things differently. Instead of mostly feeding in the open water column, gray whales often feed along the seafloor, especially in shallow coastal areas. They roll onto their sides and suck up sediment, then filter out tiny crustaceans and other food with baleen while expelling the mud and water. Gray whales are also famous for migration. They make one of the longest migrations of any mammal, traveling between feeding grounds in the Arctic and breeding lagoons in warmer waters. Their bodies often look rough and mottled because they commonly carry barnacles and whale lice. Right whales and bowhead whales are the slow, thick-bodied skimmers of the baleen world. Historically, right whales were named because whalers considered them the right whales to hunt. They were slow, floated after death, and had a lot of blubber. Today, that grim history is exactly why they're among the most endangered whales. They feed by swimming with their mouths open through patches of plankton-rich water, letting baleen strain out tiny organisms. Bowhead whales are closely related in form, but live in the Arctic and are built for extreme cold, with massive skulls that can break through sea ice and some of the thickest blubber of any animal. Bowheads are especially remarkable because they can live for well over a century. Minke whales are the smaller, more understated baleen whales. Compared with blue whales or humpbacks, minkes look compact and more modest in size, but they're still large marine mammals. They're often curious, quick, and harder to observe clearly because they surface briefly and don't always show much of the body. Bride's whales and sei whales also belong in this baleen category, filling a kind of middle ground, large, sleek filter feeders that are less widely recognized by the general public, but are important members of ocean ecosystems. So that's the baleen side of the whale family. Giant filter feeders, usually with two blowholes, many of them migratory and mostly feeding on small prey in huge quantities. The other major branch is toothed whales, or odontocetes, and this group includes some of the most intelligent, social, and specialized hunters in the ocean. Toothed whales don't have baleen. They have teeth, a single blowhole, and they actively hunt prey like fish, squid, and even other marine mammals. This is also the group that uses echolocation most extensively. Echolocation means producing clicks and interpreting the returning echoes to understand the environment. It's basically biological sonar, and in dark or deep water, it's an extraordinary advantage. The sperm whale is the giant of the toothed whales and one of the strangest-looking animals on Earth. It has an enormous block-shaped head, a relatively narrow lower jaw lined with conical teeth, and the ability to dive to astonishing depths. Sperm whales mainly hunt squid, including large deep-sea squid, and they can stay underwater for over an hour on some dives. Their head contains the spermaceti organ, a structure long associated with buoyancy, sound production, and echolocation. Sperm whales live in social groups, especially females and young, while adult males often roam more independently and can grow dramatically larger than females. Beaked whales are another toothed whale group, but they're much more mysterious. Many species are rarely seen because they spend so much time in deep offshore waters and make long dives. Some have unusual beak-like snouts and, in males, only a few visible teeth that may be used more for fighting than feeding. Beaked whales are among the deepest diving mammals ever recorded, and because they're so elusive, scientists are still learning basic things about their lives. Then there are belugas, the white whales of the Arctic. Belugas are smaller toothed whales with rounded foreheads, no dorsal fin, and a flexible neck that lets them turn their heads more than most whales can. They're highly social and very vocal, which is why they're sometimes called the canaries of the sea. Belugas use clicks, whistles, and chirps to communicate and navigate through icy Arctic waters. Their white coloration likely helps them blend into sea ice environments as adults, though babies are born gray. Narwhals are close relatives of belugas and may be the most instantly recognizable toothed whale because of the long spiraled tusk projecting from the head of many males. That tusk is actually an elongated tooth, usually the left upper canine, and it can grow to extraordinary lengths. For a long time, people treated narwhals like mythical unicorns of the sea, and honestly, they still look that way. Narwhals live in Arctic waters and dive deeply for fish and squid. The tusk may play roles in sensing the environment, social display, or competition, and females occasionally have tusks too, though it's less common. Pilot whales, despite their name, are also toothed whales. In fact, they're among the larger members of the dolphin family, which brings up something important. Technically, many dolphins are part of the toothed whale branch. The line between whale and dolphin is not always a strict scientific boundary. It's often based on size and common naming. Pilot whales are social, dark-bodied, and known for strong group bonds. They often hunt squid, and are unfortunately also known for mass strandings, which scientists still do not fully understand. And that leads directly to orcas, also known as killer whales. Orcas are the largest members of the dolphin family, which means they are toothed whales too. They're apex predators with striking black and white coloration, powerful jaws, and some of the most complex social structures in the ocean. Orcas live in family groups called pods, and different populations can have distinct diets, hunting traditions, and even vocal cultures. Some specialize in fish, others in seals, and some can coordinate attacks on much larger prey. Orcas show just how far whale evolution can go, from giant filter feeders grazing on krill to highly strategic predators working together like wolf packs underwater. Smaller toothed whales include species like the melon-headed whale, pygmy sperm whale, and dwarf sperm whale, which many people have never heard of at all. These lesser-known whales matter because they show that whale diversity is not just about the few icons everyone recognizes. The whale family includes giants, deep divers, ice specialists, acrobats, singers, skimmers, bottom feeders, and hunters, all shaped by different ecological roles. If you zoom out, every type of whale fits into a few big patterns. Baleen whales usually get huge by filtering vast amounts of tiny prey. Toothed whales usually become precision hunters, often relying on echolocation and social behavior. Some migrate across oceans, some stay tied to polar ice, some vanish into the deep sea for over an hour at a time. The word whale sounds simple, but the animals behind it are incredibly varied. So when someone says whale, they could mean a blue whale the size of a jet, a humpback singing across the ocean, a sperm whale descending into darkness, or a narwhal threading through Arctic ice with a living spear on its face. That's what makes whales so fascinating. They're not one ocean giant, but many different solutions to life in the sea. And the more you learn about each type, the harder it is not to see them as some of the most extraordinary mammals on Earth.